All right, cool. So check us out. We back another real estate lunchbox. My name's Leon Duncan. This is a lunchtime hangout show where real estate merges with culture, and I'm here to give you another show, man. Shoot. I am running so far behind. We're supposed to start this at 12:30. I know you're watching it in replay. If you are, then good for you, because you didn't miss out on our late time. But check this out. I'm not gonna take long, and I'm not gonna beat around the bush with this, my man. Let's get it on. We're gonna talk about Miami versus Atlanta. Whenever I do these comparisons of cities, I always like to run prompts which cover certain things when it comes to comparing these cities together. Now, in addition to that, I did have a bunch of other stories that I wanted to cover, but honestly, I don't have a ton of time right now, and it's a lot going on. But I do want to share this with you because I thought this is phenomenal because Florida right now is going through a transition where they're going to be removing the property tax, which DeSantis is advocating for, which is, you typically don't see that a lot, but I can get it. He's been that type of forward thinking type of governor for the city of for the state of Georgia. I mean, state of Florida. I'm getting distracted. A bunch of stuff trying to jump in my face right now. For the state of Florida, but DeSantis is doing a pretty good job. I think he's basically gonna probably change what a lot of these states do and give them the run for their money. So we can't talk about the difference between living in Atlanta and living in Florida, living in Miami, which is in Florida, unless we talk about the state of income taxes for that city, because that state, because once the income tax, once they remove property tax, once the property tax thing is gone, Florida's already crazy right now without any state tax. I mean, I literally lived in Florida for a while and I didn't pay any state tax. Not paying any state taxes I saw the difference when I moved to Georgia. I was like, what the hell? Somebody took my damn money.
Oh no!
They took my cash. They took my dough. I was coming up short in my check. I was working as a W-2 at that time, head of district manager for a security company. Um, Relocated me back to Georgia, where I came from. They sent me back to where I came from. They basically said, leave Florida, go back to where you came from. And but at the end of the day, man, the checks were actually bigger. Anybody who's living in Florida right now, and you don't have to deal with income tax, and you had to leave, and you worked outside of Florida, then you came back, you saw the difference. You know the difference.
Congratulations, well done.
You were able to experience what some of these other people will never experience because they're living somewhere in Boise, Idaho, and nothing wrong with it if you're in Boise, Idaho. Cool to everybody in Boise, shout out. But DeSantis, where they're at right now in Florida, they've already voted, I believe, in the House to actually get rid of this property tax, and this will do a lot. You always get the fight that happens with these local politicians, from the governors down to the city officials. Where's the money going to come from to pay for it? So
Governor Ron DeSantis said that he is in favor of abolishing property taxes in the state, and he would support an amendment to do just that. This all started with a chain of messages on X between Republican Representative Chip Roy from Texas and Florida's First Lady Casey DeSantis talking about gas can regulations. Governor DeSantis chimed in those posts and responded to a user who said we need to abolish property taxes. They asked the governor how he can make that happen. His response, property taxes are local, not state, so we need to do a constitutional amendment, requires 60% of voters to approve, to eliminate them, which I would support, or even to reform, lower them. He continued, I agree that taxing land property is the more oppressive and ineffective form of taxation. Now, the governor made no mention on how the state would fill the gap from the loss of those property tax funds that typically go towards our schools, law enforcement, park services, and roadways.
now, how is he going to make up for it is the big question. Is the big question, and of course, we're always going to get, uh, we're always going to get the opposing side. If it's a bill from the Democrats, it's going to be the Republicans that oppose it. If it's a bill from the Republicans, it's going to be the Democrats that oppose it. I don't understand how you can oppose property tax elimination, especially since it's never been something that is constitutionally bound. It's not a constitutional thing. It has no federal guidelines. It's only based upon the state, and the state does it. And the reality of it, you really shouldn't live in a state that does it, because if you've paid off your house and then you turn around and you got to pay your taxes for the rest of your life because your house is paid, I think that messes up your retirement. That messes up how you get older in grace, and you're still paying a bill on your house. You worked all these years to get rid of it. I got neighbors that's going through that. They're like freaking 75, 80 years old, and they got to turn around and continue paying property tax. It'll be good when they get rid of this, but I do agree they need to find some type of coverage for this, that something that covers, that allows people to be able to experience not having to pay property tax, but not have a decline in the level of services provided by the state for the individuals. Especially, you're still paying state tax, right? You're still paying state tax. Florida also has one of the highest sales tax that I know of too, and living down there. Who cares? The sun is great. It's not California, so the cost of living is less. I would pay a little bit more in sales tax in order to offset property taxes. As if you're renting and you don't own a house, this is important to you, because this also keeps your monthly rent down, because the owner has no reason to raise your rent if they don't have to pay additional property tax, unless you're talking about insurance. Okay. And that's a different beast. Nobody controls that. The state tries to control it, but so what? It is what it is. But this is the latest as of a couple hours ago. They're talking about this.
Well, Florida homeowners may be getting a clearer picture of what exactly Governor DeSantis wants when it comes to property taxes and possible relief. But there's still a big question hanging over Tallahassee: when and how any of it actually gets on the ballot for you, the voter, to decide.
Now I think we're dealing with about $8 billion in property taxes, if I'm correct. I may be wrong. Is it 8 or 80? I'm gonna check it. All right, cool. Go ahead.
Reporter Forrest Saunders tonight tracking new details.
For months, Governor Ron DeSantis has promised big property tax relief, and now he's starting to fill in the blanks.
What's going to happen in this special session?
At a fireside chat in West Palm Beach Wednesday night, DeSantis said he wants to phase out taxes on homesteaded property over time, while still taxing commercial property, rentals, and second homes. He also floated the idea of state grants to help local governments adjust to that lost revenue.
What we're saying is your homesteaded property should be excluded from tax.
The proposal would be a major change, and one that can't happen without voters. Constitutional amendments need approval from 60% of both chambers of the legislature to get on the ballot, then another 60% of voters statewide to pass.
Now, it's important that we know that, so we don't go thinking that the city affects it, the county affects it. They only implement it, execute it, but it's state. And I think it's state constitutional for all 50 states. Washington they don't have state income tax. That's in their constitution. Okay. But to correct myself, we're talking about 55 to 60 billion annual in property taxes. That's a ton of money, man.
Kind of wanted to get through the budget before we really, came out. So I think we'll do that. And then between now and the election, there will be something that will be done.
That might be the clearest timeline DeSantis has offered so far, but it's still far from a firm plan. Lawmakers have not set a date to come back to Tallahassee for a special session on property taxes, nor the budget, which remains locked in a stalemate.
80 yeas, 30 nays, Mr. Speaker.
Show the bill passes.
And while the House already passed its own aggressive tax cut proposal this year, the Senate never took it up.
Unfortunately, we didn't get it done in this session. We would have preferred to do that.
Republican Toby Overdorf says the House already did its part, passing what he calls the chamber's strongest property tax plan ever, an immediate elimination of non-school taxes for homesteaders.
Governor's made a lot of promises. We delivered on.
Okay, so if you don't know, your homesteaders are people who live in a house. That's their primary residence, and they get something called homestead exemption. So homestead exemption simply means that they get a lower tax bill because they live in that house and they're not renting it out. I'm sorry, they're not renting it out to someone. Okay. If you're living in someone's house as a renter, then you don't benefit from this. You don't benefit from this. But one thing that you may benefit from is that this $55 to $60 billion in property tax makes up the average homeowner pays about $3,000 a year in Florida in property tax. That's roughly about $250 a month. That's big to me, because that means if I'm moving into Florida or if I'm a renter, I can now begin to see the rental rates either level off or drop. Now, I've never seen rental rates drop, and I'm sure they do it, but I haven't seen it lately. But hey, what do I know? But at the end of the day, that's $3,000. That's $300 that's $250 a month, $3,000 a year. To me, it benefits the renters because they aren't gonna see rent increases. You shouldn't see a rent increase unless you're living in an HOA if this passes. And if you're a homeowner, well, they proposed already for an exemption when it came to homeowners for when it comes to school taxes. See, these taxes, these property taxes cover schools, they cover so many different things. And their biggest challenge is going to be, how do we replace that, right? So
Those promises, however, we haven't seen legislation come forward. I expect that we're going to be delivering something on the ballot this fall, as I have said all along.
But Senate President Ben Albritton has been cautious, saying at the end of session nothing has been decided and warning lawmakers still have to balance relief for homeowners with basic local services.
Getting it right is what matters most.
Democrats continue attacking the idea. Rep-elect Emily Gregory, fresh off an upset win in Trump's home district, argues eliminating property taxes would not erase the cost of local government. It would just shift it.
You'd have to still pay for municipal services through another revenue source, through another way. So to make such an unserious proposal,
she doesn't know what she's talking about. She don't know what the hell she's talking about. Yeah, that's true. We got to make it up. It would have to be made up. Floridians will have to decide, okay, if we get rid of property taxes, what else can we raise? I don't think the tax burden should be covered by property owners. I think it should be a shared burden by everyone, and probably a little bit more in sales tax. You tell me what you think. Because and I've lived in Florida, so I know at the end of the day that sales tax is a little bit higher, but I'd rather do that and take the burden off of, because I know I'm not going to do what I probably do about $250 in sales tax for that month already. They probably end up making a little bit more off of the average person when it comes to raising up sales tax or some other tax. I agree with her. Other things do need to be covered too. I don't think it's a non-serious thing. I think it's a very serious thing, because we don't buy houses, nor do we buy land in order to pay the federal government till the day we die. If that is something that, which for whatever reason for Democrats, they love that. They love to tap into the finances that's in that area. But hey, you tell me what you think about this.
priority is, I think, part of why you see this reaction in a different voice that District 87 is sending to Tallahassee.
So while DeSantis is finally opening the door to more details, the bigger picture remains murky. No bill language, no special session date, and no clear agreement between the House, the Senate, and governor on what voters would actually see in November.
I think he's getting pushback in multiple directions. I believe he's probably getting pushback the most from people that can afford. The Democrats are definitely pushing him back. They're definitely doing a pushback. Probably you're seeing pushback from people that don't necessarily benefit from this, and they don't want to lose some of the extra programs provided by the state. You're definitely getting pushbacks by Democrats, because every time you deal with this government money, you going into somebody's pocket.
Back and forth. Is it a good idea to get rid of $61 billion revenue you're getting from property taxes? Is this even possible? Who's it going to hurt? Who does it benefit? We're going to talk about that today. Okay, so if you're wondering why is this guy hanging on to all these notes, if you want, this is all the research from what we're going to cover today. If you want this, hang around at the end. I'm going to tell you how to get all these notes. Okay, so let's go through it. roughly $61 billion 2024 revenue came from property taxes. Of that $61 billion, 18 to 20 billion was homestead. People who live here. Non-homestead was $40 billion to $43 billion, 64% of people who don't live here. These are people.
So people who don't live here, and then also people who may own a rental that they don't live in.
That own a vacation home. It's Florida. It's a beautiful place. They want to come here during the winter. All of that. Right now, look at this here. The $61 billion. We wanted to find out.
Let me make that clear. They own rentals that they don't live in, but they're vacation homes. They may not live in a state. More than likely, they don't live in a state. And then you have ones that live in a state, but they own those rentals and they don't live in those rentals. Those are non-homestead exemption properties. Excuse me.
Where that money is spent, 50 to 60% of it funds school district funding, 18 to 19% is county revenue, 17% is municipal, and the last 10% is special district, water management, different projects that they work on.
So they get about 50 to 60% coming from school revenue. School revenue. That's the biggest part that most municipalities pay. Whenever you pay property tax, most of your money goes to what schools. So to me, that is the reason why some schools are just better off, because they are in districts where it's more financially secure. And in Atlanta, for example, if you're living in the suburbs, Cobb County has one of the best school systems. And if you're living, and they have some schools that are rated 8, 9s, and 10s, or 8, 9s at least, 7, 8s, and 9s, which are pretty good. 7 and 8s, 9s. I find that most of those schools that are rated like that are in areas where the average cost is the average income brought in by a home in that area is pretty high. We're talking, I've seen them 150, 200,000 to as high as 500,000. You know, yes, some people making $500,000 a year living in that area. Matter of fact, there's one place in Cobb County, Potter Springs. The Rock has a property. I don't even know if he still has it, but next to his is several other properties. There are multiple multi-million-dollar properties that are ranches, I guess. No, you would call them horse stables. They have horses there. Yeah, 6 acres or more. They pay a good amount in property tax, and it funds the school system.
Now, what is the biggest concern with this if he decides to eliminate property taxes? One, raising taxes in other places. You know what? If you take the money, $61 billion from this place, you're going to have to get that money from another place. How are you going to fund all these different things that you have? And he said multiple times, DeSantis himself has said he does not want to raise taxes, raise sales taxes, which you'll see what sales taxes will look like if he has to do that, because sales taxes right now in Florida is 6% plus some local surtaxes. If they eliminate this, some are saying sales taxes may have to go all the way up to 11 to 12%. Will be the highest in America. He says, nope, we're not going to be touching that. Okay, so then what are we going to do? State transfers. Is the federal government going to step in and wanting to help out Florida? Is Florida going to go to other states for help? Who knows? Number 3, spending cuts. You're going to have to cut different places, other fundings that you have. Number 4, people are saying this mainly benefits boomers and the rich. Like, for instance, Tampa Bay. If in Tampa you own a family home, your annual taxes, roughly property taxes, $6,750.
Wow. So Tampa carries a heavier burden because you got the Gulf Coast, which I've lived in, Pensacola down there. The houses, Destin, Sandestin, beautiful houses. They're closer to that amount of $6,900 a year when it comes to property taxes. So that's crazy.
In Miami Beach condo, $93.75, but in Naples luxury home, you're spending $18,750 on property tax. If we eliminate this, who's it really helping? And the challenge we have right now in America with affordability is
I think it's helping people also that don't necessarily have expensive homes, but they it can help their average balance monthly income. I don't think it's just eliminated. It's just focused on the billionaires, the rich ones. Because in Florida, you got to realize a lot of people move to Florida to retire. Certain areas, Fort Lauderdale is like the Venice of Florida right now. I mean, the boats, the houses that are on the water. Dude, these houses are crazy. 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 If I move back to Florida, I'd probably move to Fort Lauderdale. No lie about it. I love the Gulf Coast, but Fort Lauderdale, shoot, it's just a higher standard of living. Yeah, just a way higher standard of living.
For the people that are the boomers and the rich, or is it the younger families just got married, 30 years old, husband and wife want to have kids, want to buy a house, they can't afford to do so. Do you want to tailor to them so they show up to you, or do you want to tailor to the rich? That's the criticism and the back and forth that they're doing right now with the debate, which is totally fine.
If they want to tailor towards the average American, it's unconstitutional, I believe, to actually say, okay, we're only going to let the average American pay lower taxes, and then we're going to have the people who are rich continue to pay their property taxes. To say that you stop property taxes if it's under $1 million, which these are some of the conversations that they're having, to me is stupid. It's stupid. If I own a house and I paid that house off, or a piece of land, and we keep talking about generational wealth as people that are black, right? We keep talking about generational wealth. I don't want to pay taxes when I die on land that my kids inherit. I don't want that. You shouldn't want that. You shouldn't want to actually pay property tax. I say that is unconstitutional. Income tax and property taxes are probably the most unconstitutional taxes, and there are a bunch of other ones too that are out there. But they got us with the income tax. World War I. They needed the income tax bill in order to fund the war. Got it. Federal tax, you fund it. But now you get into property tax to fund public school education locally? Florida already doesn't have one of the best public school systems already, so I'm trying to figure where the money goes.
But again, keep in mind, if they do this, this will be the only state that's no income taxes as well as no property taxes. Let me continue. So now, on this side, if we go through it in regards to the concern, watch this. Possible benefits. Number one, so his idea. If they do this, who do you attract? You increase migration from other high states, such as who? New York is possibly about to have a massive amount of people that are going to leave New York that could be coming here. This is good. We want people to want to come here and not want to pay property taxes. Number two, encourage capital inflows and new development. People are saying, wait a minute, you're not going to be saying, come to Florida. You're not going to pay property taxes. Let's go build. Let's go to Florida and build. This is a good place to invest.
Yeah, I'm going to stop it right there because he's really hovering right there what they should be leveraging on, because Florida really does need, in places like Miami, which we're going to talk about, they need some of those condos to be replaced with some of these newer condos. And if you don't know, Miami back in the 70s was like the spot for the gangsters, bro. I mean, that was one of the spots for the gangsters. You had all of these condos that were built that Florida still has, Miami still has. And these condos are falling apart. If you remember, about a couple years ago, you had a condo in Miami, condominium building that just came down, it just crumbled. They need a whole new infrastructure when it comes to that. I think they need to rebuild a lot of those things, and encouraging, actually putting the money on the builders and the construction, giving them some type of additional fee to build would actually supplement some of that, because they need it. And I think this is a great way to get it popping. New York is going to lose people. They've already started losing people. These people are moving to Florida, bro. They're moving. They're moving to Georgia. They're moving to Florida, Fort Lauderdale. I've seen the numbers for that. In Miami. And Florida has a bad issue right now when it comes to foreclosures. Florida, as of last month, was leading the nation in foreclosures. Leading the nation. So, now we get into the topic. Miami versus Atlanta. You're really talking about Georgia also versus Florida when you talk about this, because there's a lot going on in both cities. I mean, Atlanta has one of the most popping nightlife, but Miami has, like, it's popping in Miami too, bro. It's not, Miami's not a lay down state, a lay down city. Like, it's popping. And both cities have, oh my God, look. Before I even get this rocking, I'm going to drop this into into the description. Okay, when this is over, you can go download it. This is actually my 5-point, I call it my Lunchbox 5, where I have this really cool prompt, and I run this prompt where I compare the two cities together. I dig down deep into cost of living. We're going to look at the real estate market at a glance, monthly budget breakdown, what it costs to actually do certain things, community and culture, because that's important also, safety in the neighborhoods, because if you're talking about pulling back money that's going to municipalities, what we're talking about with safety. And I'm going to give you my breakdown. This is not a long piece. You'll be able to download it. It's 9 pages, but it covers 5 major things that you need to know. This is my free gift to you. Doesn't run you a penny. If you're running and you want to decide between Miami and Atlanta, this is probably one of the best tools you can use. I did one for Dallas. That's already in the description. And I'm going to do one for a couple of these other cities. We're just not going to have reactionary content conversation. And we're just not going to talk about the politics and the economics. But I want you to see in front of you what that actually looks like, okay? And if you're listening, please like, subscribe, follow for more content. This is what I love doing. I'm a real estate broker. Been doing this for 20 years. Real estate agent, investor. I fixed and flipped. I've wholesaled. We do a money lending side where we lend money out to. We can do it for whatever project you got. But these are different things that we have to look at when we're comparing a deal that's taking place in Florida to a deal that's taking place in Atlanta. We got to look at these different things. But let's talk about this, and I'm going to drop some of these facts in between some of these reaction pieces. Go ahead. Let's go.
I've been here maybe like 2.5, 3 months, so it's just a brief change that I've seen in some things that I've noticed the difference anyway. In some things, first and foremost, I've never been anywhere that I got to pay to park to pay to go get food. It just don't make sense. Also, the food is extra expensive. I can get a pizza and that should be $35 and it'll be a small one. The other thing I noticed is, of course, anybody that's been in Atlanta knows that Atlanta traffic is horrible. It's horrible. It will take you 45 minutes to get from Panola to Panola. But here in Miami, not only is the traffic bad, but it's violent. I have had a grown man get out of the car and try to, we just gonna say for educational purposes, he wanted to talk. I mean, sir, I'm a woman. What are we doing here?
You know,
y'all get down like that in Florida for real? Y'all get grown men getting out the car to get it popping and get it going for real? I'm gonna stop on something she said real quick. I told you when I do these breakdowns, I break them down really good, down to a dozen eggs. So if you bought a dozen eggs in Atlanta, you're gonna run right now $4.18 for a dozen eggs. Miami, $5.30. I know that seems crazy, but let's keep going. Right now, gas in Georgia, which changes in Atlanta, $3.19 for a regular, $3.45. Not too much different when it comes to gas. Gym memberships, $46 around there in Atlanta. We're talking about 64. People in Miami just love to look a little bit more prettier, you know, a little bit more put together. But 1 bedrooms and 3 bedrooms. This was the one that blew my mind. A 1 bedroom in Atlanta can run you $1,788 on average. Okay. Miami, $2,927. Come on, bro. Come on. A 3 bedroom in Atlanta, $3,039. Miami, $5,100. Oh, we already know y'all paying more, a lot more, 70% more.
Me and the wife came to Miami for a quick little getaway. Got here Friday. First night, we was up till 3 in the morning. Been nodding off ever since. I know people be feeling disrespected when you call them Unc. Not me. I'm old. I'm an Unc. You see the graves? I don't even try to cover them up no more. I'm 40 plus. I'll leave it at that. Yesterday, we celebrating Crystal's birthday. I look around. Everybody taking naps, middle of the day. This everybody. She wasn't the only one. I was taking naps too.
Let me tell y'all why I like Atlanta. I like Atlanta because the food. Like, the food in Atlanta, they season their food real good, but I can't live here because I have, like, diabetes, hypertension, high blood pressure, all that. But, you know, every now and then I can come here and eat real good and be all right and go back home. Another reason I love Atlanta is because the people here are just so generous, especially the men. So first, let's talk about the men. Earlier, I had...
Hold on. She just said the men are more generous. Yeah, the men are more generous in Atlanta. That's for sure. I'm going to tell you, some of the guys in Atlanta getting away because an average meal right now in a restaurant in Atlanta, you're going to pay $21. An average meal. I'm not talking about, listen, y'all, Ruth Chris, all that. I'm just an average meal, bro. Average, okay? $21. $30. $30 for an average meal in Miami. Crazy.
Event, and I could not find my keys. The security there, you guys, they were like trying to help me find my keys, like doing everything they could to help me. They were carrying my suitcase back and forth. Like, they were being, you know, extremely chivalrous, as a man should be. But where I'm from, like, a man will literally sit and watch you open the door, sit and watch you struggle to carry the suitcase.
I'm telling you, in Miami, you got to.
All right, some of you guys, if you're going to go out at night, this is for you. You're going to spend about $90 on dinner in Atlanta, but you're going to end up spending about $120 in Miami. And I'm going to tell you, I know why. Because when I go to Florida, I love the seafood. Seafood is just it. And Florida, the menus are higher because the seafood is fresh. I hear y'all in Atlanta. Yeah, y'all got the crab legs. We got the crab legs. We got these little places that you go to. I get it. The Copelands, all these other spots where we have like the buffet, Sunday buffets, and they got the crab legs out. But they're shipping it further inland. Down there, it's fresher. Trust me. I get the oysters, I bring them up, and I crack them, and bro, it's no comparison.
Be on your toes. These new scams, first of all, I don't even know if I should call it a scam, and it could be happening also outside of Miami. But let me get into it. If one day you plan on purchasing a house or people that's looking for a house, here's what's happening according to the news here in Miami, right? You know how you go looking for a house and everything been upgraded. They did new ceiling, new roof. We got new plumbing, new this and new that. What is happening is once the closing is done, the property is yours. These people is getting hit with $40,000 worth of lien taxes based off the fact that the work that was done, the people before that didn't pull the permit. They did not get inspection. So now you have to hurry up, because if you know anything about these government tax lien on houses, if you don't fix those things quick, fast, in a hurry, late fee, before you know it, the $40,000 hit $100,000. Anyway, the point is, I don't know how they don't catch it before you purchase the house, but once you purchase the house, any upgrade or work, plumbing, electricity, yada, yada, that was done, you have to now get it all redone or get someone out there with it that could inspect it immediately and pass the inspection. And you got to hope that it passes the inspection or they're going to take the house.
That is the weirdest thing I've ever heard. Whenever you buy a house, and just to let you guys know, they do what's called a lien search. They got to search a title search. So any liens that were placed by people who did any work on a property shows up there. Those are called mechanic liens. But every state and every municipality is a little bit different. Some are faster to show than others, which I can get that. But I've never seen an interest-bearing mechanic lien, and I may be wrong. I haven't seen everything. 20 years, hey, I only been flipping since, what, 2015? But I haven't seen a mechanic lien. But either way, what she's saying is that the liens are put there by the subcontractors. I don't think that's a general thing. Probably the subdivision or specific area she encountered that in. But at the end of the day, if you're buying down there, you got to look at this right here. Atlanta, oh gosh. Atlanta, the median home value is $381,000 right now. Miami, $574,000. Oh my gosh, bro. Median list price is $355 and $53 in Atlanta. Miami, shoot, $650,000. Average rent For a 1-bedroom, we already went over that. City square foot, we already went over that. Days on market, this is the beast. In Atlanta, properties staying longer on the market, 73 days on market. Miami, 62. People buy it. They buy it. No
Biggest difference that I've seen in between Miami and Atlanta, how people handle their money. Miami is very flashy. It is very loud. Love to be on camera talking about how much money they're making. Here in Atlanta, it's very quiet money. People living in $10, $20 million estates, and they just want to stay in the quiet, have no one know that they have money.
Atlanta's actually more diverse than Miami. Atlanta has a lot of Asians. Like, not a lot as Los Angeles, San Francisco, but they got Asians up there. Miami ain't just as diverse as Atlanta. Atlanta probably, even though Atlanta still is a black mecca, Atlanta is very diverse, especially in the last 10 years. Atlanta might be losing their black mecca title. I ain't even gonna lie to you. They might be losing. A lot of black people moved outside of Atlanta, Georgia, but it's still majority black.
Which city is better, Atlanta or Miami? Food.
Miami. Fashion. Atlanta for sure.
Fitness.
Miami.
Football.
Florida.
Florida for sure.
Florida.
Okay.
Yeah.
Daytime activities.
Hold on. Football, ain't nothing. I hear y'all with the Hurricanes. I get y'all with with FAMU. I get y'all. But you are not going to play these. You're not going to say that Georgia Bulldogs ain't it. You ain't going to say that Clemson. You're not going to say that UGA, Georgia Tech. You're not going to say that the football for Georgia has not dominated up until this recent time. Has not dominated, okay? So no, college football, even when you talk about professional sports, Tua, your quarterback, came out of Alabama, okay? I don't even know if he's running QB right now for this season coming up. But at the end of the day, listen, say what you want to say, but them Falcons is still kicking it, bro. They still kicking. They beating Miami.
Florida.
Nightlife.
Miami.
Atlanta or Miami strip clubs?
I would say Atlanta had better strip clubs. Miami had King of Diamonds. Now, Magic is right now to me the best strip club. I know the venue's not the most beautiful place, but the best performance, the show.
Atlanta is way more supportive.
Yeah, for sure.
Miami, them niggas want to kill each other.
Literally.
From a different neighborhood or whatever like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot of Spanish people that don't give a fuck.
Don't give a fuck.
Yo, man, I gotta say safety. Atlanta does have a 64% safer. Miami 52 moderate. Atlanta's got high crime. When you compare the cities together, Atlanta's beating them in high crime. As far as in safety, yeah. Miami's safe in some areas more than Atlanta, but dude, they still get down in Atlanta. Don't get it
Don't
twisted.
care. They just want, you know.
Over 40 and from Miami.
And here's one of the reasons why we chose Atlanta. First thing first, the vibe, the energy, the atmosphere that we felt in Atlanta. When I'm in Miami, I don't feel that same vibe and energy. I don't feel that same connection that I felt the first time and the second time and the third time that I actually went to Atlanta. The other thing is, right, every time we've also been in Miami, I feel like this place is super fast paced. It's always moving. It's like, the time just goes by so quickly in this city. I don't know why. And third, the other reason is this, guys, right? The gap between the wealth in Miami versus Atlanta is so drastic. I'm talking about when it comes to networking, meeting people that are like-minded. In Miami, you might be bumping into people that are $10 million in income, 20, 30, 40, 50. Let's say if you're at that 10 to 20K mark or 0 to 10K, there's not really much that person could offer you that's going to get you to that next level realistically.
Let me stop this. I'm going to stop it real quick. First of all, if you're going to Miami to find millionaires or billionaires because you're trying to increase your wealth position, you're lying to yourself. You say your net worth is your net worth. That sounds so good. I could show you all the wrong things about that, and I did do a video on that, but I'm not going to get down too deep into it. Check this out. Average median home Average median income in Atlanta is higher. It's crazy. The median income, household income. So this is actually just taking in place household income. 81,000. Miami 59. Cost of living 4% below the national average. Miami 21% above the national average. Dude. And the crime index, of course, we said in Atlanta is still way higher.
I've officially moved from Miami, Florida to Atlanta, Georgia. I think I'm going to do this every week. Come on here and give y'all the 3 things that I've learned about the differences, good, bad, and indifferent. So here we go. So number 1, the first thing that I noticed, genuinely, everyone is more polite here. Genuinely. Good morning, sweetheart. How are you? You look great today. Have a great day. Holding the door open for me. You can go ahead and meet, sweetheart. It's okay. I was in Publix the other day and this man had on Miami Dolphins whole get up and I had on my Miami Heat shirt. He's like, look, we Miami kinfolk. Have a great day, babe. Cause at home, niggas is out for themselves, okay?
The difference from living in Miami.
I gotta say the dudes in Atlanta do got more swag. I gotta give it up to the dudes in Atlanta got more swag.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Well done.
I know y'all don't like it. But they do. They just do. What she just said right there is a dupe. How people just connect, guys just connect to her. I'm sorry, I hate this. Let me keep going.
To Atlanta. Do you feel the difference between the taxes versus like the cost of living? Like, can you feel one versus the other?
When I first got here, I did. I moved from Miami, I was making 37. I moved for 45, but this in like 2012. But that 3%, it's a 3% state income tax. You feel that. That little 3%, that little 150, 175, that you could probably stretch to the next payday. But you feel that shit, boy.
Damn. The water hot.
For sure.
It's hot when you first get in there, but once you're in there, it's like
it feels like it's lukewarm after that. But then I feel sorry for a lot of people that live within like the city limits, because not only do you got state income tax, federal withholding, they also got city tax too.
I think the biggest misconception that people tried to convince me of before moving here was that I had to move here and look a certain way. Like, I had to put on every day. I needed to have a bust down middle part, makeup done, outfits for every day. And I think that's really like what people come and visit do, like what tourists do. And so when I was on my flight moving here, I had on a Lululemon set. It was moving day, and this girl was like, girl, you're going to stick out like a sore thumb. And I'm like, why? And she's like, just like, look at what you're wearing. And I'm like, I think her perception of Miami was a bit different. I'm like, I'm walking and I feel good. Like, I am relaxed. I don't have makeup. I rarely wear makeup on a weekdays. I wear leggings and workout clothes every day. And I realize, like, Miami is really what you make it. Like,
this can't be the same Miami from when I was a child. I'm gonna need y'all to drop in the comments better cities to live in. I don't know, everybody just so mean-spirited. It's just not given. It's really not even that fun. Like me, I don't drink alcohol, so drinks and stuff, to me, that's not fun. All there ever is to go is the strip club, and I don't want to go to no damn strip club, for real.
My God, I know you think it's funny, but I'm gonna explain something to you. I know how expensive it is in Miami because I stayed in Miami. I'm so Miami to I knew the county mayor before she became the mayor. Matter of fact, one of the people that sits on the county commission, they're my kinfolk, you know, or whatnot. But really, bro, it's expensive as hell right now to stay in Miami-Dade, you know? And I'm not talking like in the hood, like Overtown, Poking Beans. What you talking about is over there in Brickell and Vizcaya and all that shit over there, Key Biscayne and South Beach. That's the tourist area.
Baby, I went to Miami this weekend and I'm realizing that Atlanta is not that bad. Cause baby, they be doing too much staring in the club. Like, ain't no ass shaking, no titty jumping, like nothing is going on in the club.
Whoa. Do not rate these cities based off of ass shaking and titties jumping. Please don't. This is for my dudes, don't. And I'm just telling y'all, you'll just be hurt.
And I know this probably not normal in every strip club I went into in Miami, but if I'm going to the strip club with some niggas, they're gonna give me some money. Like, I seen multiple groups of sections with niggas and bitches, and niggas was just flexing, like throwing hella money, throwing hella pay. Now, I can't lie, y'all come way differently than we come in the club. I literally seen 2 niggas throw $30,000, just them two.
I hate living in Miami with a passion. I'm gonna be a little bit.
They throw more money in the club in Miami, hands down. Most of the guys that I've seen that live in Miami and live in Atlanta throw more money in the club. I've seen more people in Atlanta throw money, but they don't really have that money, in my opinion. It's more like that flashy, broke. You get a couple of them that do, but for a large part, they throw in the bread and they got to go home to like that townhouse. And it's not even a crazy expensive townhouse. We're talking about a $200,000, $300,000 at most townhouse. You need to keep that money. I felt like the money just flows better in Florida in that Miami place. I don't know. It just feels like it does.
Transparent and vulnerable, okay? I truly hate living in Miami. Early during the year, my family had a vote. Some of them, they had a vote, and I lost. So, yes, we moved back to Miami. Some of y'all know my mother already lived here. And, you know, based off a certain situation, the base is here. The money is here. I get it. But for me, as far as living, I can't stand it. There's nothing for me to do. Okay, I'm not going into the club. Definitely not going to no club with my daughter. You understand? In South Beach, y'all be so hooked on South Beach. I'm not paying $40 to just go look at the damn water. So for me, there's nothing for me to do, and I hate it with a passion. When I was in Tampa, because I do like the water. In Tampa, you could go anywhere and the parking is okay. Miami is $40 parking. When I'm in Atlanta, I could go to the trail. It's free. Yes, I like walking through the woods. I love walking through the woods. But as far as for me, there's nothing for me to do. And I just can't. I just don't. I can't be sitting up in the casino all day. I see why older people go to the casino, because there's nothing for a certain age group of people to do when you don't work a 9 to 5, okay?
I just feel like you got more stuff to do in Atlanta. And every time I went to Miami, I'm not saying that Miami didn't have stuff, but I feel like you have more stuff to do. And I've never felt like Miami's been like a family-friendly place. So if you're someone that has a family, I'm not saying they don't have families and family events, but it seems like I can go to more park events and family events in Atlanta than I can in Miami. And I'll be honest with you, when it comes to like economic opportunities and culture, first let's hit with that culture and community. It's like they're a tie, and I'm wondering why, but there is a lot of things that I guess you you trade out. My verdict at the end of the day, right? Real estate value goes to Atlanta. Cost of living, better cost of living goes to Atlanta. Culture and lifestyle goes, it's a tie. It's a tie. Economic opportunities, guess, Atlanta. Safety, Miami. Tax advantage, of course, like we spoke about it at the beginning, state taxes. Property taxes might be a wrap. That might just be it. But at the end of the day, man, if you want a copy of this, just go ahead and hit the link in the description. I gave you a brief overview of some of the points there. You'll be able to compare Miami and Atlanta under some better situations, you know, better perspective. Yeah. I'm going to do this last one, then I'm out for the day. And I thought I was going to end on that one, but nah, I want to do this one because I thought this was dope when I saw it. Dope. Let's go.
This is something I have never heard of. So a school is going to be completely AI with no teachers, and it's opening up in Chicago. Who are the students? They must be geniuses.
They're recruiting
no
students right now. The students are people whose parents can afford $55,000 a year in tuition. I'll just
Chicago. Don't expect it to be coming from the city of Chicago. Y'all in a budget deficit, I think over $1 billion or right at $1 billion. I don't see the city of Chicago doing any type of AI public schools that people can just go to. But I did suspect this was coming up, and this is not the first time I've seen this article, especially when it got to compete with local public schools in the area. You got to decide. I told you earlier in it, the money that comes from property taxes push a lot of these public schools. They push all of these public schools, from the food that they serve in the cafeteria to paying the people that work there. How are these schools going to compete when you have more of these AI schools coming up? How are your children going to compete? Yeah, think about it. If we have more of these schools that pop up, I'm hoping that the cost of actually the curriculum goes down, because it's AI. I'm trying to figure, why is it $55K? I think it's because it's a novelty. But this is going to change if you're talking about a gap between the rich and the poor, this is going to be the gap. This is going to be the hinge that sits between the rich and the poor over the next 5 to 10 years. You got to be teaching your kids this, and your kids got to be learning it, honestly.
Say that for this private school. But this is a fascinating story on so many different levels. It's going to be called Alpha Schools. And Alpha Schools is a private school, I don't want to call it a chain, but it's a group of schools that exist in other states, formed out of Austin, Texas. And here's how the day works for these students. K through 8 right now, but eventually they want to make it K through 12. They do essentially all the core academic learning in 2 hours in those booths with AI, and it's very personalized. They interact with the AI. They learn their core subjects, reading, writing, arithmetic, and all the things that we learn. And then the rest of the day is left open to workshops, to entrepreneurial stuff, even for kids as young as 2nd and 3rd grade, business stuff, some arts as well. And that's where they really get their collaboration with other students and problem-solving skills in. No teachers. They are hiring, the school is currently. It's going to be downtown. They would love if you have a teaching background, but you don't have to have one. You have to have a bachelor's degree, but you don't have to have any educational experience or even a degree in education, because it's the AI doing the core learning with the student, and then it opens up the rest of the day. Look, AI is coming to our schools in one way or another. There's no doubt about it. Will teachers be okay essentially saying take over computers? Probably not. There's going to be, obviously this is a private school. They can kind of do what they want here versus the public schools. But I do find it to be a fascinating discussion on where we're going with AI, its capabilities, and how much the education experience is going to embrace this stuff.
I'm all about, technology and teaching our kids advanced learning, like things that we obviously didn't get an education on. My only thing that comes to mind right away is, I know, and I've talked to Gabby about this, and I'm sure you will encounter this too as a parent, that when it's time to get your kids into school, even preschool now, especially if they're not going to a public school, it's like applying for college. And so in a lot of instances, they want your kids to write, right? They want them to even do little essays starting in like kindergarten and things like that. I just don't see how you'll be able to even write your name and things like that if a good portion of that educational component is on the computer. And in fact, I talked to a principal about this, and this is a big issue that they're having as classrooms become more technologically savvy and kids are on iPads and computers. Kids don't know how to write. They don't know how to do a 5 + 5 =.
Yeah. And that's the problem with tech. That tech is great up to a certain point. You can't make everything tech. I think the school that actually perfects this will be the school that balances technology with basic skills. Some kids a lot of kids can't even write in cursive no more. Cursive is like a dying thing. And I was like, damn, a dying thing? It was a requirement when I was growing up. Cursive and typing. You had to know how to write in cursive. If you didn't, you would literally fail. But now kids don't have to do that. We've lowered the standard while China's raised the standard for their kids and their education. And I'm trying to figure, how do we feel we're going to dominate? I don't know. Can't really figure it out. At the end of the day, I do know this one thing, and it makes perfectly good sense to me. And it may make sense to you too. It makes sense to everybody that thinks practically and has some type of common sense thinking. You can have technology, but you've got to have practical things, very practical things that kids do that involve touching, like paper and a pencil or paper and a pen. Because if you take that ability and you just have this, their minds are not going to develop as much. It's something about writing that develops your mind.
10, and so I just don't know if that becomes a problem later in life. I love the concept. I love the concept of a second grader being able to create a business that could be sustainable, maybe even for the rest of their lives, and start thinking about that. but some practicality you still need. You still may need one day to write your name.
I have this debate all the time with my listeners on the radio because I'm someone who still took penmanship, right? And I now argue that was an hour a day or however long it was, completely wasted. What do we care if kids know cursive, right? This is not the way of the future. Why are kindergartners writing out essays anyways? I'm going to get a lot of pushback. I'm sure your viewers will disagree with me too. And a lot of people point to there is some skill and important brain maneuvers happening when you're writing things down.
Important? Important? You think? Important? Yeah. And I hope the school passes. I hope it succeeds because it's great. But I think that the school that's going to be the most successful is the one that merges both of those together. It's coming fast, and it might be coming to a neighborhood school near you. Our public school dollars may be able to fund it, may not be able to fund it. I hope that doesn't mean they turn around and raise property taxes to make public schools more competitive with these schools. Because that's what I see coming down the line. Collecting more from the people who already pay for the teachers. Hey, man, I'm out. That's my deal for the day. I've made it to that hour mark. I want you to like, subscribe, follow for more content. It was Real Estate Lunchbox, man. Culture meets real estate. But I do want you to go ahead and download that Miami versus Atlanta information. We're going to plug that in. I'll see you guys on the next flow. You guys have a great day. Remember, God loves you just the way that you are. Peace.